In the last 2 days, I've had 2 people ask about this topic, so let's dive in. Why would my coach recommend that I dance both syllabus and open if I only know syllabus figures? And there's several things that could be kicking into play here. First off, it could be an ugly motive, which is greed. So if your pro is pushing you to enter 5 bajillion events at a comp, then I would take a step back and be like, okay, well, are they just trying to get me to pay them $1 bajillion? But honestly, guys, much more likely they are looking out in your best interest. There are many other things coming into play here. Number 1, you are eligible to compete in open and just do even just bronze figures, guys. Open just means you can do bronze, silver, gold, and fancier figures. It doesn't mean you have to. As a matter of fact, guys, I had 3 students make finals at nationals. I myself won 2 of the nationals in the syllabus at our US national championships, dancing lower than that entry level. Okay, so I won silver just dancing bronze figures. I had 3 bronze couples make the final in novice, just dancing bronze figures. And for amateur, it's bronze, silver, gold, novice. So they were dancing against people that were doing bronze, silver, gold, and fancier figures. And guys, your comp results ain't about the fancy figures. It's about your dancing and your proficiency and your beauty that you can do those moves. However basic, does not matter, okay? Next up, there is a very difficult transition for all dancers from that point that you kind of, let's say, graduate from the syllabus into the open categories, where suddenly you're on the floor with exponentially more experienced dancers with you. So if you're in bronze, you can pretty much guess, those competitors have about the same level of proficiency. And as you go up the ranks, that variation gets wider and wider. And then by the time you get to championship, you'll have couples that are basically, well, I pointed out a novice, but I've just started pre-champ. So they're really more like beginning pre-champ level dancers also entering championship, because at least in amateur, you can enter 2 consecutive categories. And then you've got people in championship who won 5 years of national titles. And so it's a much different pool you're competing against. Secondly, when you enter open, the floor speed changes, okay? So the rate at which people are going around the floor, in that samba or that quick step or whatever, is hugely different. And so it's very helpful for you to start competing in open before you actually get out there, so that you're used to just doing a waltz and having people zoom by you. It'll be kind of like when you first learn to drive a car, and that first time on the freeway, at least for me, I was in sheer terror, like, they're going so fast. And my mom screaming at me, go faster, the speed limit's faster. And I'm terrified. So, and I felt the same way, guys. That very first time at nationals was the first time I've been on a novice floor. And I felt like I was in a sea of fighter jets. It was terrifying. And so it's definitely helpful to acclimate to that earlier in your dancing, okay? So by the time you legitimately are kind of at that level where you're, one of those kind of people vying for those final positions, you can actually focus on your dancing and not just being overwhelmed by that, fiery circus going on around you, okay? Okay, another factor going into play here. When you go into novice or open scholarship, whatever, if you're doing prom, the titles are a little different than amateur. But in a nutshell, when you first enter those open categories, okay, guys, you're actually going to place better by doing those figures that you've been working on longer. So not that you shouldn't be working on the open figures in your privates, but you know what? If you've been working on that gold routine for 5 years, I guarantee you it's going to look better than that, open passo you learned last week. Like, we are human beings. It takes a long time to cultivate that muscle memory. Okay. Also, guys, really important, greed aside, no pro ever that I've even heard of would want anything other than their student to look their best on the floor. They are not going to enter you into something and set you up for failure. I just can't even wrap my head around anyone doing that. Does not exist. And just know going in, if your pro is entering in you in that category, it's extremely likely that is in your best interest. Okay. And also, be confident if you go out there and you're doing novice or your first time, first 10 times trying an open category, it's okay to go in and not expect to win. You will get there. Okay. It's just steps in the ladder, and those syllabus figures are the foundation for all those open figures. Promise you that. You can't learn outside spin until you learn a natural turn. You can't learn continuous pivots until you learn a spin turn. Like these things all build on each other. And once you get those foundations really strong, when you really start competing hardcore in those open levels, you will excel as a result. Okay. It's going to work way better for you than just, who wants to go out and onto the floor and stomp around an open routine? I have had couples come to me for open routines and do that. And I'm like, okay, well, I highly don't recommend it. It's your money, but you're going to do much better if you just focus on those basics and feel confident in what you're doing out there in those open categories. Okay. And also don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because even if you lose, in my opinion, it's always in your best interest to, although compete at your skill level, surround yourself with the best that you can, okay? Because you're going to naturally emulate those people, and whether it's, social dancing, performing, or competing, these are all kind of pressure points to motivate you to just work hard in your lessons. That's a win. If you're going up there for 20 years in bronze against people whose butts you've been kicking, that's not really a motivator to improve. If you're a great gold dancer, you know what? You got to bite the bullet. You're not going to win everything. Go ahead, put your feet into the pool of that next category. Just dip your toes in. You'll surround yourself with better people, and you will naturally emulate them, guys, and dance up to their level. Because we all want to do that. That pressure is great. Also, in terms of entering open, it could just be that your pro wants you to enter more categories, not for you to pad their pocket, but I always call those first few rounds your throwaway rounds. You're going to suck at them. This is a reality, okay? You're not going to dance your best. I have had students go in and just dance well. I'm a silver dancer. I'll do my silver routine. But, 5 dances on the floor, you're not going to show your best. Even an open pro, you're not going to show your best in the first round. You're just getting used to, is it a sticky floor? Who else is on the floor with me? What's the size of this floor? You don't always get any warm-up time at all on that comp floor. And you're going to dance better if you get more, I'll say, exposure therapy. Not only, over time, being on the floor as much as you can, which is a huge benefit. If it's within your budget, obviously, you got to take that into consideration. And then secondly, at that comp itself. And if you're inexperienced, just take my word for it. Ask any of your friends who compete. You're always going to do better after throwing your hat in the rings a few times at that comp, and you'll work out the nerves, and you'll dance way better. So could be any number of things at play here, guys, but 99.9% chance your pro's looking out in your best interest if they encourage you to enter that open category. Okay, so that's what's going on behind the scene, guys. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, please reach out, because I know your lesson time with your pro is extremely expensive and valuable to you, and you want to focus that time time on learning, to dance well. So if you have any cultural questions, definitely ask me out. I love sharing videos that are interesting to you. I'm happy to answer dance questions for you too. And I post at least one of those a week, but I'm not a substitute for an in-person private lesson, okay? If you compete, you definitely need that, because I don't know you personally as a dancer. My tech tips that I post here, dance tips and stuff, it's just to supplement what you learn in dancing, and they're geared towards the problems that I see with my students, the things that I see going wrong in my own dance community, in the local comps or whatever. And so I definitely want you to get the best results that you can, guys. Okay, so hope you found that to be interesting. And I will be back ASAP with some more ballroom dance cultural topics and other ballroom dance stuff. Okay, guys, have a wonderful day. Happy dancing. Bye.